Welcome back, everyone. I'm just on my mini tripod here, so hopefully this is not terribly shaky or too bad. Doesn't really have a lot of weight below. What I wanted to do today was go over a few of my Fabricator Mini Mods. Got a few questions both here and a couple direct messages and in the forums. Some of the other forums that I'm on. First thing, I'm just going to visit these again because there's two of them. Sometimes you'll see in front of my footage a little bit of glare. It's because I'm using an old CD jewel case with a bit of wire bent to be a hinge at the top. I'm using that as a draft door. I'm just going to apologize right now. Still got what seems like a never-ending cold. So if I do cough or something and forget, I'm just going to say sorry now. Anyhow, these hinge on the top of the Fabricator Mini. I'm just going to move the screen back, and we'll get to that in a second too. And that just hangs there. You can see the metal just hangs over that lip, which allows it to hinge, because those of you that don't own one of these know that sometimes the bed comes out. The bed will come out a little bit as it's printing past the edge of the printer. I could eventually make a box that just sticks off that so it never opens. But this allows you to do the heated build chamber, because the print head is hot enough in such a small space, combined with the heat from the board below, that it stays nice and warm in there. Next we're going to look at, I'm going to try not to send that flying off to the ground, is the screen. Now you've all seen the screen, and I'm using Chuck Hellebuck's firmware and some of his settings to get the little screen working. But what I've done is I like to move my screen around, so I've made these little catches that hold the screen. I'm probably going to revisit those and make a joining piece that goes from one side to the other. But right now there's just one on each side with a little spacer, so that when you put the screw from the top down, it doesn't squish the display board into its main board. And like the draft door, that allows it to just hang. Just don't know if I can give a shot of that very well. Allows it to just hang balanced on the top of your Fabricator Mini, so you could hang it on whatever side. You could hang that on the front or a side, as I'm doing. I like to treat my right hand side actually as the front, so you've seen this shot quite a bit. Now something else I'm going to mention, I have made a custom print bed out of FR4 circuit board, and you can see here there's the silver screws which align the top piece of FR4 to the bottom piece of FR4, and that's so it can be removed. The black M3 screws are the ones that would have held the old acrylic down, and it just so happens that two pieces of 1.5 millimeter FR4 are about as thick as the acrylic sheet that used to be in there. I had plans to maybe add a heater by cutting some traces into one of the boards and hollowing out some spaces for some resistors underneath, so power resistors to heat the board up or warm it up. But there's enough radiated heat from that print head to warm this board. Now, I've tried glue, hairspray stuff, all the magic, and messing around with Elmer's glue, glue stick, and all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to show you how I get my stuff to stick and release so easy lately. I don't know if you can see this. You see how well you're getting the reflection of the curtains from the other side there? I have to change my tripod shape. Hang on a sec. Don't know how well you can see the reflection off that. And you see that fingerprint down there at the front? There's a fingerprint here, if it'll focus on it. That's a fingerprint. And I think there's one further in, I'm not sure. Yes, there's one further in, just at the tip of my fingernail. It makes a dull spot compared to the curtains. When I print now, that would be unacceptable. You can't have any fingerprints. There in the corner, it doesn't matter, but where you plan to put your print, that kapton tape has to be clean, really clean. And so far the only way I've found to do it is a quick wipe with 99% isopropyl alcohol. 75% stuff works, but it takes forever to dry comparatively. This will dry almost instantly, especially if the print chamber is already warm. And you can see you don't have a buildup of residue, because before every print you're actually removing any residue. Actually, here, let's just put you guys here for a moment while I talk about this. It should work. I apologize if this is all over the place, but might confuse it for autofocus. See if we can get it to autofocus on something useful. There we go. So, alright, now hopefully I won't hit the camera with this. Let's just bring that print bed out. You can see that other fingerprint right there that probably happened when I was taking the last print off the print bed. I was printing a mount for an E3D V6 clone for my other printer project, and I touched the bed there. So what I would do if I was going to use this in a couple minutes, bear with me a second, just take a piece of paper towel, you know, regular old paper towel, microfiber cloth, sure, that part doesn't really matter. More important to just make sure you get a little bit of alcohol in the cloth. Now I'm right-handed, so I'm going to have to move you guys again. So let me just bring you guys out a little bit. And then I would take the cloth. Making sure, absolutely sure to get all the fingerprints. And sometimes you get stragglers, little bits of hair, or wisps of a previous print. Now, those little plasticky wisps from a previous print, they don't really make a difference, but it's more important to get back to that full shine. So I hope we're still in focus here. There you go. You could actually see the alcohol dry off. Yeah, see it there? So now we're back to a perfectly, almost, well, there's a bit of schmoo right here. Nope, still evaporating. Alright, so I'll get my big finger out of the way. I can actually see, I don't know if you guys can catch from this angle, but some of the schmoo from the alcohol, I don't know what you'd call it, but a little bit of what was actually alcohol residue that I thought was schmoo. So now the top of that kapton tape is pretty much just kapton and whatever tiny bit of residue from the alcohol, which of course evaporates pretty quickly. And then that would be ready to print just like that. Nothing else, no glue, super simple. And the next time I do a print, I'm going to try and record it for you folks so you can see the moment the print bed cools down back down to room temperature, which, because there's copper clad in between these two sheets, the moment the print bed gets back down to about room temperature, the part will just pop on its own, right off, just almost poop. You'll see I print with a brim. You'll see the brim will go bright because it's let go from the kapton tape, and then most of it will pop right off unless it's a really big part, and even then you just wait a little bit longer and you could probably come over and just tap it with your finger and it'll pop right off. So anyhow, that's a quick go over of the print bed, how I have it. The layout is exactly the same as the old bed, so if you took your old bed off and just plopped it down on top of a sheet of copper clad, you just trace it out. What I did though is I added 5 millimeters to either side. The bed from the far side and the camera to up close is an extra 1 centimeter in the X direction. Now I haven't adjusted any of the end stops for the X to make use of that, but there's no reason I couldn't because the bed moves that far and then some. Anyhow, that's just an update about the Fabricator Mini there. Some other stuff on the other printer I'm going to get to in a couple minutes, but I just wanted to do this to answer a few questions about what I'd done to my Fabricator Mini version 1 and how I'm getting my prints to come off pretty good. Anyhow, if you have any questions or comments, put them below. Don't forget to like if you like this. If you did dislike it, I'd love you to put a comment why. And for those of you that have left comments, sometimes your comments are set so there can't be a reply, so I can't answer questions. I've also noticed a few people deletes their comments after that, which fair enough. Obviously didn't mean to make it in the first place, or who knows what. But yeah, anyhow, subscribe if you like this kind of stuff, and I'll keep putting it up, because then I know somebody's watching it, right? Anyhow, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.